Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Always right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show and a Happy New Year to everybody. We were off the air last week, but we had a new show on a Happy New Year special, but this is our first live show, and I'm sorry that we got started a half hour late tonight. We had a family birthday party to attend to, and it's kind of hard to leave before the cake. So we're here now, back in 2023. The show was going on 15 years this year. I can't believe it's gone that long. It's incredible. I got to thank all of you people for listening and tuning in every week and sending me messages and emails. I do appreciate it. Right there, Evil, with Evil from Evil Message. There's a lot of evil, right? From 1984 from the EP. The band recorded that song. They re-recorded that song last year for the Book of Evil album. They combined it with the Evil's Message and made it like one 8-minute long song. It's actually not bad. I'm not a big fan of when bands redo songs, but it's actually not a bad cover of it. But there's nothing like the original. All right, we got a great show for everybody tonight. Alexander Krull from Leaves Eyes and Atrocity is on. We'll be talking to Alexander in about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll play some music between now and then. Let's see, what can I get on for you right now? We did a little Evil. How about, I spent the 2 weeks of the holiday going through all the old bands that I could think of from the early 80s that maybe just had demo tapes out, trying to get them on the show as guests. I've made progress with a few of them. Really, really underground bands from the New York area, so we'll see if we can make that happen sometimes next month. But right now, forgive me, I'm a little hoarse. Like I said, we had a party. There's a lot of chit-chat and talking going on. Here's Sinful, Midnight Sunmaster. right, there's a band I haven't played on the show in probably 13 years. Hillian, Up from the Dead. Ann Bolin stood me up about 13 years ago for an interview and kind of jerked me around with it for a while, so I refused to play that band on the show for the last decade. But you know what? It's a new year, so we have to forgive and forget and move on. Plus, if I do that for all the bands that screwed me over the years, we open up the playlist for about 100 different bands now, so I guess something good could come out of it. All right, we lost a great one last week from Enforcer. Doug Trevisan, the singer, passed away about a week or so ago. We weren't on the air live last week, so we couldn't do a little Enforcer tribute. Doug Lee was one of my earlier guests on the show back in the early part of the decade. He was a great guy to talk to, and I was looking for so much more from the band, but really nothing ever came out of it after they kind of reunited. And when was it? I think about 2008 or 9. And then the classic Chicago metal record came out about that time, the compilation. But nothing else ever happened to materialize with the band. Now Doug is gone. So rest well, my friend. Here's a little Enforcer, Salem's Curse. I figured we start picking up the pace here because we're going to have Atrocity in about 2 minutes. We'll play something off the brand new record. Imam was just saying in the chat room his top three records for this year are Siren, Savage Master, and Witch Slayer. And I have to agree with that. I mean, there were so many great albums that came out in 2022. I wanted to kind of make tonight's show, a recap of all of last year, but we just couldn't get around to it because I was running very late tonight. Maybe we'll try it next week. It might get too late to do it, but we'll give it a shot. But my 3 albums for the year definitely have to agree. The new Siren record up there in the top three, the Witch Slayer, and I picked the Cloverhoof record instead of Savage Master. But that is one of the top 10. It was a great year for metal, and this year's looking a lot better. Cloverhoof, as everybody knows, George Cole and Cloverhoof kind of parted ways with each other, but they brought in the Tyrant. So, Harry Conklin, the Tyrant, is going to be singing on the next Cloverhoof record. I don't think he's going to be a part of the band permanently. I was talking to Lee last week. He's just making a guest appearance, which I don't really get. You think they'd want to look for a permanent singer so they have some stability instead of bringing in one guy for one record, but you don't know what Lee's got cooking up. So it can't be a bad record with Cloverhoof writing it, Lee behind the bass, and Harry singing. I guarantee it's going to be a good record, but we'll have to see. But new Jack Pans are coming out this year, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's talk to Alexander. Let's get us something off the new Atrocity. We'll talk to Alexander, and we'll get that interview going right after that. So here you go. It's okay.
Then we have no problems with the internet because we had some storms over here and I had some dropouts. So better switch it off then.
Yeah, we sound great. It came through perfect. But I have to tell you, I'm really happy. And I'm kind of sad and happy because we got the climax of the Occult series, and it's over.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, crazy times need crazy music, right?
Definitely. I mean, this was a. I mean, there's not a bad Atrocity album in the bunch, but this was a great set of three albums, kind of wrapping up this whole story. I mean, if you go back 10 years ago, was this the plan from the beginning, or did you just say, "Hey, no, we're going to write the occult record. We're going to base it on this concept," and then it didn't come out where you say, "Hey, I got more Remy for more albums."
Yeah, well, that was clear. It will be a trilogy. As further back in the Atlantis, or when we did the Atlantis album, in Times of Atlantis record, it was also a huge project with a lot of research and stuff because I'm very much into history and also some occult stuff and basically the dark side of humanity, if you say so. And the thing is. With the Atlantis was already such a wide range of topics, included one overall topic, which was like the legend or the myth of the sunken paradise. And, starting with the Greek mythology from Platon, but also you have the same kind of legend in Africa, where they call Atlantis Atlantioi, or in Latin America, with the natives there calling their Atlantis Aztlan. You also have that flood legend in the Bible or in Asia, around the globe. So there was like a wide range with all of that, let's say, with myths and legends about that place. But there's also the spiritual side of that people who are in contact with their Atlantean ancestors and say they can communicate with that. And then you have completely other people they believing Atlantis was formed by or built up by aliens and they were coming with UFOs. And then you have the Nazis having expeditions in the Himalaya looking for their source of Atlantis or alien race. You see, that's not just, if you have one topic, it's not just one way to have some interpretation of the story, so to say. And I knew from the occult, if you go and enter the world of the occult, like the real dark side of humanity, it's also a wide range. You have like, okay, a lot of people think like, oh, it's about Satanism. Yeah, wait, this is one string. The religious thing or the spiritual thing is one string of that. But, conspiracies or occult wisdom, which people were hiding so they will not getting in trouble with the authorities, that's also part of it. Or the world of ghosts is part of it. And much more like that, prophecies and like really dark stories and the psyche of human beings, and that was such a wide field. I knew from the start, not maybe a one decade, but I knew from the start, okay, it has to be more than one album only. So we are doing a trilogy. That was clear from the start. And also the musical vision was clear. It has to be brutal, dark, evil, and epic.
You accomplished that, and I have to tell you, I mean, you do get a lot of help with this world. The world we live in has all of that mixed into it, going back from the beginning of time. So there's definitely a lot of things to draw from as as a songwriter.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the challenge to bring like the best stories together on this trilogy, or maybe a lot of things maybe people never even heard of. Or in another way, I like stories and places and events having an impact, like coming in waves. You see, nowadays, it's also another wave of a lot of strange things going on in the world. Everything went upside down since the corona came, right?
Yeah.
So, in a way, at least in our part of the world. And the thing is, uh, that is not something new in the history of mankind, because it doesn't matter which system you live in, which political system. You have a democracy, you can have aristocracy, you can have dictatorship, communism, whatever, and religion. They all use one thing. It's called fear.
Yep.
That's what they use to manipulate people. This is what they use to keep you calm. This is what they use to control you, to manipulate you. So, you are the puppet on the string. And the thing is, that is actually something which you can see nowadays perfectly. And especially like in religion, you behave, you go to heaven. If you don't behave, you go to hell and burn. right? And that's very simple trick, and that's why I'm always requesting or asking for the story behind the story. Sometimes you only see the result of things, but there's much more behind it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I think about like, these albums and all your concept records, you do have quite a few concept albums that you've come up with. Telling a story and making it fit into a 3 or 4 minute song, it has to be difficult because even like when an author writes a book and they make a movie out of it, they have to adapt that into a screenplay that kind of fits with the storyline. Is it difficult trying to narrow down a humongous story that you're interested in into a 3 or 4 minute song?
Yeah, in a way, you're right with that. That's what you that's like with all that kind of songs when you're gonna write. If you also write a song about your personal emotions and stuff like that, you also have like the same time, and maybe you could write like a 20-minute song. But the thing is, that's why we have also a song like Malicious Succubus, which is longer. It's like 7 minutes or something altogether, and it's which is the heart uh, or like the middle track of the album. And I think yes, that is always something you have to keep in mind. We are a metal band. We want to have great songs. We have to compress somehow the storylines, but make it also spicy and exciting for the listener, and to have like whatever hook line they can sing along, or they get the message out of the whole thing. I think that's also important, like we did that on the Atlantis album. If people are getting interested in stuff or they have an inspiration with a song, they look for more. And with the Atlantis album, we had like an Atlantis expert, which was like writing liner notes to actually the songs itself and what's all behind of that. And I think yeah, with the occult, with the artwork, with the occult trilogy, we have the artwork and we have great videos and stuff like that. So that's like amplifying the music.
Yeah. Before the interview, I was going back through all of my old demo tapes, and the Instigators demo tape came up, and from like
Wow.
'88, and I was saying to myself, my God, the band has been around in a couple of years for almost 40 years. I couldn't believe that. I was like, has it gone by that quickly already?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Formed in '85, and that's '88 was already 3 years the band going on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then we still needed like okay, one more year. We did Blue Blood, and then Hallucinations recorded in Florida with Scott Burns in Morris Sound Studio. There was amazing times. It was actually something you will never forget in your life. It was like the golden days of death metal, and then something sticks always to you. No matter what else we did with the band, like with all kinds of new musical challenges and bringing also something like symphonic elements already on the second album. I mean, Hallucination was already a different death metal album, being the first techno death metal album, so to say. And now you have a whole genre like that. And on the other side, we did like something like Work 80, uh, or the albums with my sister Yasmin or Das Ich, which were like breaking up big horizons for metal. Because there's only one law in heavy metal. It's called breaking the law.
That's right. I mean, you were a kid when the band started. You were a teenager. I mean, at that point in time, was it really more just for fun, or did you think that I can make a career out of this? I could do this for the rest of my life. I mean, what were you thinking when the band first got started as a kid? Because you don't really think about the future at that point in time.
That's true. I mean, we were lucky. We had like the Rock Tropic Ludwigsburg. I don't know if you heard about it, but it was the first metal, really big metal club or temple in Southwest Germany. We were like the house band. We were like rehearsing there, and the manager was our manager and all that. So that was my school of rock. So in a way, yes, I was thinking that would be a dream of mine. That the lifestyle I live, like the metal lifestyle, will become also my profession. That's why I also, as a very young kid started to make my own death metal festivals, tour with Carcass through Europe, and bringing Entomb the first time to Germany, Pestilence, or like other bands like Punch and Stench, the Symphonic Orchestra, and all that. So that was something, like the European tour with Carcass and Atrocity. Nobody else wanted to do that back then. What's that death metal? Is it only noise or whatever? And then we had like shows like in Czech Republic. It was just when the Iron Curtain was going down. With 2,000 people and stuff, and nobody could believe that. They were like, "Holy Christ, what the hell is going on?" And then suddenly it was like you had this kind of it was overwhelming for us, a death metal boom, and then the big companies came, or like the big touring companies came, and they took over. And I was just looking, okay, you guys now, you didn't want to have that before.
You're right. I mean, when you think about Atrocity, going back to the beginning, to me, there's been so many eras of the band. A lot of bands that have been around for so many years, they kind of change their style and the sound of music to kind of fit in with what's going on at the time. In the 80s, when hair metal became big, Judas Priest and Ozzy started wearing, sequins, and they got all glammed up and started writing music like that. And then when, rap metal became big, bands like Anthrax jumped on that. When I think about Atrocity, you guys changed here and there, your sound, but you went in the opposite direction. If this was what was popular, you went into something completely different. I mean, you never followed any trends. It's almost like you created them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you say that is the right explanation. We had like a lot of bloody noses, and we were doing like German lyrics, and they were like, "Oh, you cannot release it in the US," so we just renamed the album into "Longing for Death," which was like, a big bummer for us. And then, suddenly you have a band like Rammstein having like German lyrics. And I know some of the guys, and we always talk about that. It's quite interesting. And yeah, it is possible. It was just nobody was daring to do that. And, with a lot of other stuff, filming a video in Transylvania. And then, yeah, okay, now, Alex, you only have to do vampire albums because it's becoming a huge trend. Yeah, well, then we had already another idea.
Sure.
So, that is the thing in the history of the band. Probably, if you would have stick to one thing of it all, then we might have much more commercial success, so to say. As I was also working for record companies like Massacre or Roadrunner, and also Napalm. And I'm still very close in contact with Nuclear Blast, of course. My friends are there, or to our labels, Massacre and AFM, and also helping sometimes with discovering new bands and stuff. So that was sometimes they said, "Yeah, you're just too early with your ideas." But well, otherwise we never wanted to be one of the copycats.
You never were. And, commercial success could bring a lot of financial success, but that's a hit and miss type of thing. You could make it, you cannot. So is it more important to kind of stick to your guns and just write what you love, and you'll find a fan base, which you have, and they'll kind of stick with you throughout, which apparently is the case because 40 years on almost, and the fans are still there.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And if you do things for money only, or like to have that kind of a success, then your art is not like the true art with credibility and stuff. When I want to do something, I need a personal vision with that. I need a connection. I need also something to believe in myself and not selling my soul to whatever success.
You're true. I mean, with so many albums behind you, fans want to hear a little bit of everything when you perform live. Some of the old stuff, some of the middle ground stuff, the new stuff. Have you thought about going out there and doing the entire Cult series, all 3 albums, start to finish, or picking and choosing songs from each one that would kind of tell a story on its own for just one live show?
Yeah, that is maybe an idea. It's actually, how you say that, some requests here, or people are asking for that. And that's actually a great idea to think about that. Normally we would, combine some Atrocity or include some Atrocity classics into a Cult set. But maybe, yeah, now with the trilogy, it would make sense. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
It would be. Well, I mean, bands that have been around for as long as, Atrocity has, and even Leaves' Eyes, there's going to be lineup changes. People come and go. They either can't commit to it, or things happen and they just don't want to be part of it anymore. But I think but you being the main focus, the main songwriter, that's always kept its consistency, or the sound and the direction of the band. So is it really important to have multiple players in a band that all contribute and make it a band, or is it better when there's one person like yourself kind of guiding the ship to where it has to go?
I mean, you just mentioned yourself how long, and Leaves' Eyes is also going on for a while, how long this band Atrocity is going on. That's the foundation for it all, the foundation for my whole career for the studio, Master Sound Studio, and also for Leaves Eyes. So um, and if like people have stuff with family or other profession, or just cannot commit to live tours anymore, or like the intensity of recording and record, and you have to sacrifice a lot of your private time and stuff like that. So that is something, uh, maybe not everyone wants to do it until the end of their life, so to say, and my personal choice is different, right? And I want to be like full time artist. I like to work also with other bands. I do filming and directing as well. So that it's the world of me is the world of an artist. So for me, there's no doubt or no question what where to go to, or what to put in. I always put in the max, 110% for Atrocity or Leaves Eyes. But you cannot expect this from everyone, and also sometimes it's very simple. Also, if people have personal or private stuff which they just cannot, combine with a life of, with as a musician. So that being said, with Tosso, who was in the band since 1994, yeah, we're still in contact almost every day. He's a very good friend of mine, and it will not change because he's not in the band anymore. But we lost Tosso as a great person, and we were also writing songs together. But we had also opportunity to work with fresh blood, so to say, people who are absolutely into the same vision, and they want to do something with the band.
That's true. I mean, today you have to be as much of a businessman as a songwriter and a musician. And people think, like, with the internet, things are so much easier now. And in a way it is, because you could put up a song or a video within a couple of seconds. People all over the world can get a hold of it if they want to, compared to the old days where there was no internet and everything was kind of like done by hand back then. I mean, how is it for an artist today? Do you prefer the way things are now to the way they were back then as far as promotion goes for a band and getting the name of the band out there?
You know, if you sum it all up, it has huge advantages but also disadvantages. So the overflow of bands, the overflow of songs and information, and people cannot cope with that anymore. It's obviously, that's why you have playlists, or you're going back to single days when you have only a single out, and then wipe, or skip to the next. And that is the big danger, that inflation of music, so to say. On the other side, to reach out to so many people, or having like a chance to reach even millions of people, that's extraordinary. That is also a chance, of course, and it's in a way for promoting your band, or to amplify the distribution of your music. That is for sure much better than the old days, because I remember the major companies that didn't have any interest into metal. They were even not sabotage, but they were like preferring other music, and there was always a fight in the stores or in the record stores and stuff like that, to get space for metal bands and rock music. Because like major companies said, "Oh, who needs that crap? We want to sell our pop shit." So that is actually something, in on the internet. You can reach out directly to the people who love your music, and you have mail orders nowadays, much more attractive than back in the day. They have like all kinds of yeah, music, and you can choose from. And that was back in the day a major problem with the underground scene, when it all started to have like the right distribution and promo possibilities. But it made people creative. I remember in the tape trading days, you were
Yeah.
sending tapes back and forth,
Yep.
from one continent to the other, from one country to the other, and it was having like, it was like an occult circle, so to say. It was like something like people, somewhere in the underground. Nobody from society was aware of, probably having their own metal world going on. that was exciting as hell. Something you cannot describe or tell people nowadays, as they wouldn't believe it. What?
It's true. No,
You
you're
wait
right.
weeks for one demo? Are you crazy? You know?
Yeah. I used to be a big tape trader back in the 80s. I remember, trading with people from all over the world. And
Yeah,
sometimes it
yeah.
would take 4 or 5 weeks to get a demo tape from a friend in Germany. The album would come out before the tape got here sometimes because it
Yeah,
would take
yeah,
so long
yeah.
in the mail.
Exactly.
But,
Then you
but
have to be very passionate about the music. You have to have really this flame inside of you. This is, by the way, I still keep this flame. I have still that flame inside of me, like this kid from back then, to work with the music, to be creative, and put all the effort into all the power and all the energy to do this as a metal musician, and that is very important. To be true to yourself, to have the credibility, and to have like also the vision for your own band.
absolutely. What you said earlier about the internet, that it can be overwhelming. There's so much going on out there, and there's so many things to get through to find, one of those bands. Do you think if Atrocity has started out today in 2022 and you were putting out Hallucinations right now, do you think you would have the success that you had back then? Because it's still the same record, it's still the same music, but the fan base, would it be harder to find them as it was compared to back then when the label put the record out?
Yeah, man, these were totally different times, and I remember. I think it was the most successful album from Nuclear Blast back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, and it was like having this HR Giger cover. It was a shock for some of the metal press, that the band from Germany coming up with all of that, with first of all the artwork, and then wow, going to Florida, producing such an intense technical death metal album, and with blast beats and all that stuff. It was not everyone was using that, but back then as well. So I think we were even the first band with blast beats on Roadrunner, or like from Europe at least. And the thing is, they have also had a huge network back then. So they were under license, was the Hallucinations album from on Roadrunner, and Nuclear Blast was the rest of the world. So, well, nowadays, yeah, it's the same music, it's the same album, and still people love that album. I don't know, but of course, that if you have a source like this uh, in the evolution of technical death metal, sometimes even it's kind of sport what's going on, right, in the music. And I was always breaking it down to great songs. No matter how technical we were or we are, I want to have great songs. And for that, I think Hallucinations is still a great record where people get to know it by chance, or, maybe they never heard of it and find it now. They could be also very much attracted. Absolutely.
It's true. I mean, I think you've come up with a great formula for releasing music. I mean, between the two bands, I mean, there's an album out from one, an album out from the other, and in between, I mean, there were 5 years between the two occult records, but you have Leaves Eyes releasing records, and it seems like every couple of months there's a single out, maybe an EP, a video. So you keep the bands fresh in people's minds. You give them just a little bit to keep them going, but enough to make them wait and want more.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that this time was really because of the crisis and all that we
Yeah.
had to delay the record. So it was not planned also with the whole decade of the occult trilogy. Now it happened, and now, I see it like that. I mean, if I look at my colleagues from Sodom, Creator, Destruction, they're also not releasing every year one album. So we are established bands, and so we want to have a very great album coming out, like a celebration, and this is something you can also wait for, and that is, in this case, the great final of the trilogy. I hope people will enjoy it, and it was worth waiting for it. And all the people getting new to get to know the band, they can check out the previous occult albums.
I'm sure they will. Alex, I'm not going to keep you. I know you have a whole bunch of interviews to do today, so I'll let you catch a few minute break between the next one and this one. But what a great job on this record. I'm hoping in 2023, the world's starting to open up again, I hope, and you can get out there and start playing and hitting the road and getting on tour with the two bands. It would be great to see you live again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the interview, and greetings to everyone overseas. we hope to return as soon as possible. Yeah, we are happy that this seems to be more smooth than the last couple of years.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck, my friend. The album is fantastic. You did it again. I can't wait for the next one.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Alex.
Hey, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
His body wrapped within rags. He never bothered to bear and lived off what he could. I accept this punishment for the things I have done. I'm living filth and pain until redemption comes. Forgiveness has nothing within reach for this outcast. I've done my time and paid my dues. I've heard the strangers laugh. He remembers yesterday and the tears fill up his eyes. Yet he has no one to blame but himself. Was to lie and cheat still was the only way he knew. So he feels his suffering is justified. Why? He remembers yesterday and the tears fill up his eyes. Yes, he has no one to blame but himself. Was to lie and cheat still was the only way he knew. So he feels his suffering is justified. As the man did approach with two outstretched hands, and he asked him to stay. It was then at that time he saw hope in his eyes and knew a better way. I accept this punishment for the things I have done. I'm living filth and pain until redemption comes. Forgiveness has nothing within reach for this outcast. I've done my time and paid my dues. I've heard the strangers laugh.
All right, going back to the beginning of that set, after the interview with Atrocity with Desecration of God, Sacred Right with Executioner, and Morbid Sin, The Outcast and the Savior. That band features Bobby Leatherlungs Lucas on vocals. Attack is working on a new record. Hopefully it'll be out this year, 2023. And in case you don't know, Bobby is also the voice of the Heavy Metal Mayhem radio show theme song that was written by our ex-co-host and guitar player extraordinaire and my best bud, Tommy Flang, a guitar player for Tempest. My old guitar player, Mike Fringo from Stillborn, plays on that. Our original guitar player, Andy Guida, did the engineering on it, also played the drums. My old bass tech, Ron Dwyer, played bass on there. So a great little song by the Big Cheeses and the Little Cheeses. So I love it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right, we'll do you know what? We'll do another set of music, then we'll kind of wrap it up here tonight. Not much going on. We're keeping it kind of low key today because we were running late. I just want to get the show on and off the air, with no problems, and we've managed to accomplish that. Bouncing around through a couple of blabbermouth articles this week. We didn't really do any news segment tonight or any rants or raves. We'll keep it kind of light for the first week of the year. I saw the headline for Blabbermouth that says, Rip Owens says, I don't think I sound like anybody else. And all I can think of is, didn't Judas Priest hire you because you sounded like Rob Halford? I mean, maybe I made a mistake there. I know Blabbermouth has a way of taking, words out of a conversation, using it as a headline, and sometimes it doesn't fall into place. I actually didn't even read the article, but that made me laugh when it says, I don't think I sound like anybody else. I'm like, well, you were hired for Priest because you sound like Halford. But, then there was a 749,000 interview with Dave the Snake Sabo from Skid Row. If somebody asked me about getting back together with Sebastian Bach, I had him on the show a couple of times. I never once brought up Sebastian Bach in any interview. I actually won't give him any airtime or any credit for anything, but I don't know why people keep asking that same question over and over again. I mean, you think you're going to get a different answer than the interview before you? I mean, he's been out of the band for 2 decades. I think it's time to let it go. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get back to the last set of music here. Then we're going to wrap it up. We'll come back on before we close it out, but how about we do a little Kid Gloves Reasons?
I know that you've been
Fill me up with life.
right, we started off with Kid Gloves, a little Panther after that. And right there, that was Zoltan. After they were Zoltan, they were Keen Hue, another band out of Sweden that comes off the one and only demo tape from 1984. And then not long after that, they changed the name of the band to Keen Hue. All right, we're going to wrap it up. We got two more songs to play tonight by two bands that have been on the show in the past. They have new records coming out, and these are two songs off of them. I'll get them on in a minute, but just want to touch on something that Dee Schneider said. You know, he's always been controversial with everything he says, but this is something I have to agree with him on. I don't usually agree with him on a lot of things. He made a comment about how Ronnie James Dio was not a great frontman, but a great singer. Now, this is something I've talked about in the show many times in the past, that there are frontmen and there are singers. You have singers that just are unbelievable vocally. They can deliver any line any way possible. Ronnie was one of them. Jeff Tate in his prime was one of them. There are a lot of people out there today that can still do it and carry it live. And then you have frontmen. Dee Schneider, not a great singer at all by any means, but a great frontman. If you ever seen Twisted Sister live, especially in the earlier days, there was nobody better than Dee. I mean, he got the crowd going. I mean, that's just the way he was. Ronnie was an amazing singer, but he wasn't outgoing on stage. And he doesn't have to be because he's Ronnie James Dio. I get that. But, you know, if you're looking for that guy like Ozzy, not a great singer, an amazing frontman. You know, David Lee Roth, not a good singer, an amazing frontman. You know, when you go to a show, you want to get pumped up, you want to get worked up. You know, I don't want to hear the songs exactly like they're on record. I want to hear the way they perform live. You know, that's what you got with those guys. You know, you weren't going to get mirror images of the record because they were out there trying to entertain the crowd. They were entertainers more than they were singers. You know, you have other people that were great singers like Ronnie and, you know, like you've seen Robert Plant. And then Todd LaTorre chimed in and made a comment about it. He wrote down who? And, you know, people think he's being sarcastic, but I think he really means it. He probably has no idea what Todd LaTorre is. Most people don't. I mean, this is a guy who really did nothing in metal at all until he got into Queensryche. And he only got to Queensryche because he sounded like Jeff Tate. If you hear him on some of the earlier stuff he did, which isn't a lot because he really didn't put a lot of stuff out there, you know, recordings, he sounds like Jeff Tate. That's why he got the job. The same way Ripper got it, and he went into Judas Priest. And, you know, he just became like this big mouth all of a sudden where he's always being the voice of Queensryche. You know, he's not humble at all. And you think he would be because soon that he got a job where he's making a little bit of money. And he's not getting rich doing it, but he's making enough to probably support himself from being in Queensryche. But Queensryche is not the same Queensryche from 1983 or 84 or 82. Or even from 1990. I mean, you have Michael Wilton and you have Eddie Jackson in the band. That's it. That's all that's left from that classic lineup. And back in the early days, those were the two that contributed the least to the Queensryche sound. So that's where it goes and that's where it is. So we'll just leave it alone like that. But let's wrap up tonight's show. Next week, Dennis Barth of Aggression is on. Hopefully my voice will be back and I'll be feeling a lot better. We're going to close it out tonight. We're going to do some Vicious Nature to set over some brand new music. This is Moment of Impact. And we're going to close it out with Jackie Chambers' band, Hysteria. She's the guitar player in Girls' School. And if anybody doesn't know, Vicious Nature is the old guys from Martial Law. So we're going to play those two songs and close it out here tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday night. I was going to say maybe we won't play those two songs, but we will. I actually deleted them instead of playing them. I'm all out of it today. All these medications I'm on have gotten me completely screwed up. So let's do that one more time here. Here you go. Moment of Impact by Vicious Nature.
Flesh and bone.
live.
Come together, unite. Let's all make a stand. Big Bill strikes the ninth, and that minute began. In the crowd, all the heads were bowed, not a sound. All the children would all stand still. Every night that became the drill. Whoa, pause for peace. See what's going on. Pause for peace. Give peace a chance. Pause for peace. See what's going on. Pause for peace. Give peace a chance. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, please. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, breathe. Ripples turn into waves wherever they start. Touches stranger's hand, it reaches the heart. Quiet the pause, for the greater cause of silent applause. For all the ones that we held so dear, as we wipe away those tears. Whoa, pause for peace. See what's going on. Pause for peace. Give peace a chance. Pause for peace. See what's going on. Pause for peace. Give peace a chance. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, please. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, breathe. To the pole, powerful. Contemplate, meditate. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, please. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, breathe. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, just 1 minute. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, just 1 minute. Pause for peace. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, pause for peace. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, just 1 minute, just 1 minute. 1 minute of silence to break from all the violence, please.